I'm Drake Stolar and my partner was Parker Myers. We decided to discuss the question whether the U.S. should lower the drinking age to 18 or stay with the requiring age of 21. We chose this topic because it's controversial. It has been in the past, and the people it would affect probably the most are kids around our age in the high school and are closest to us. So we wanted to see what their opinion were, and we also wanted to see how the wording of the question may change the results. Where my personal hypothesis, I did not think it would make that big of a difference because each kid would have had a set view or belief of it, and I did not think that we would make a big difference between them. For our data collection, we decided to do it with house groups because that would give us a fair measure of grades 9 through 12 and give us a good example or sample of the entire population of SJJ students. So when we found our house groups by random selection, we gave each student a slip of paper, and it was all the same question. It was either unbiased or biased, and we gave it to each student. We told them it was confidential, would not be used against them. It was just for a statistic test, and we had prior permission from their teacher because that was the first thing we did to make sure. And we did not reuse any of the house groups for the same question, so we didn't use the biased and unbiased question on them. We only did one, and they did not know that theirs was biased or unbiased. So they were blind. So we used different groups. There was no reusing, there was no reselection, and it was all confidential. And once we got our sample, we took them, we wrote them down, and we left it from there. Our bias question that we used in that study was, if at 18 you can vote, serve your country, and purchase and consume tobacco products, shouldn't you be also to legally purchase and consume alcohol? Then our unbiased question, which was sweet and simple, was, should the U.S. lower the drinking age to 21 to 18? And how we did that? We did this, as I'll show you in the video. In this clip. Hello, can we interview your guys' house group?
Yes.
Okay, we're doing a survey for statistics, and we just want a quick survey. I'm going to give you a slip of paper, and you just write yes or no. If you need a pen, ask me. But would you guys all like to participate?
No.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure. Oh wait, what is it for?
Yeah. Statistics, and you're being filmed.
It's not going to be used against you. It's confidential.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do I have to fill one out too?
No, we're just doing students.
Okay.
So it's consistent throughout.
Okay.
Otherwise, our
We just put yes
population
or no?
would be different.
Yeah.
Change the survey.
Totally change it.
Yeah.
Can I
It's your
read
view.
what it is?
Should the U.S.
Yeah.
lower their drinking age?
So I just keep it confidential so no people talk about it
I said no.
and make it like.
Oh, okay.
And then there's the biased
Yeah,
one
this
in here
is
actually.
interesting.
Drake, I'm done.
There's a biased one.
Does everybody have the same question?
This will tell you, but yes. So there's the bias.
Okay. Good luck with your project.
Thank you. After our data collection, we wrote all the answers down, totaled them up, and we put them in percentages and compared them then. And, well, we did red in our graph here is biased, and unbiased is green, where there was a total of 52 biased questions and 50 exactly for unbiased. So we used percentages to make sure that they would not create differences in that. So after doing it, with the bias and the unbiased, we actually saw a significant difference in answers, where the bias had about 71% versus a 44% yes, and on the no, only 29 on the bias question answered no, and 56, over half, voted no on the unbiased question. And errors that I made personally, I think, was that the sample size was very small because it was only in St. John's. It was mostly relatively privileged kids, and I also ran into errors such as like moderate answers where kids wrote I don't know, or so I got maybe one or two blank answers with nothing on it. And another thing is house groups were having snack or busy, and they were kind of, I don't know if they were really reading and focusing on that question. How I think I can improve that is going on a larger scale. I mean, yeah, it's hard to do in high school, but get more around the area, because we're just a Midwest school, so West Coast and East Coast may have different answers of this age group, and a broader subject to fix that. Any critical reflections on this project I would have to say is we expected each group to have 10 students exactly for some reason, and we didn't really take in consideration of fluctuation of who's going to be there or not be there. So I think that's another error we had, because after we did five house groups, we didn't have enough kids. So what happened is we had to go back and just randomly pick one. So it kind of took out the true randomness of it, and it made it kind of a convenience, because we're just like, oh, this looks like a fair house group that has a big number, and we tackled a bigger house group rather than a smaller house group, which I think that's a personal error we made, and we didn't expect that fluctuation in sample sizes from each house group. After doing this survey, overall, I think I learned a lot. I learned a lot about the difficulties and troubles you have to go through and to execute a good survey. And it kind of gave me an eye out to look at surveys as not as truth, and to get a better understanding of where they came from and how they got their stuff, to make sure how true it is. And I was surprised by the extreme difference in yeses and no, and the bias and unbiased, because again, my hypothesis was just that there wasn't going to be that big of a difference, that each student had their set idea and belief, but apparently this taught me how wording of a question is a huge effect on the answers. And now I'm going to look closely to how convenient it was, who they asked, the population, and how it was worded. And this is Drake Stolar, and I did my project with Parker Myers. Thank you for watching.